Following oversight visits in the city of Johannesburg this week, President Cyril Ramaphosa expressed a deep dissatisfaction over the state of Johannesburg. Ramaphosa announced the establishment of a presidential working group to turn around the state of Johannesburg. A similar instrument was activated in the city of Et-quini last year. For more on this, we're joined by Neeshan Balton, a member of the Johannesburg Crisis Alliance and the director of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation. Neeshan, good evening. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Is a presidential intervention where the intervention is not administrative but supportive in its nature, the right instrument to turn around the crisis that had beset the city of Johannesburg over the last 15 to 20 years?
I have to say, we don't know the terms and conditions of the working group and all of the people who will make it up. We also don't know who are the two coordinators or conveners that the president alluded to. And lastly, we don't know what the views of all the different political parties in the city of Johannesburg are. I think just looking at the experience in Ethekwini, it seems to be working. At least from a distance, it seems like they're getting basics done in the city. And as a short-term intervention, which is what this is about in Johannesburg as well for 2 years, it might well be the only option on the table, aside from putting the place under administration. You bear in mind that the local government elections happens in 2026. So to dissolve the council and hold early elections probably was not a feasible option as well.
You mentioned that from your observation from a distance that the presidential working group in Ethekwini seems to be working in that they're getting basics right. Let's double click in on that. What are the basics that is not being gotten right or that are not being attended to in the city of Johannesburg adequately?
Oh, there's a range of basics. They range from water and erratic water supply. They include electricity issues in many areas, street lights, traffic lights, potholes, cleanliness, sanitation. Then there are facilities that either have been built or unopened or incomplete. There are infrastructure challenges in the city, from bridges to roads and buildings that are just not up to standard. So the list is long in the city of Johannesburg in terms of the basics that are not functioning as they should be.
The Johannesburg Crisis Alliance had long called for an intervention in the city. Is this the sort of intervention that the Alliance had envisioned, or does it fall short, rather, of what truly is needed to turn around the city of Johannesburg?
Well, as I said, once we know the full details of the terms and conditions and the perimeters of this presidential working group, we would be able to answer that question. For the moment,
if you could advise the presidential working group on what it is they ought to have as the terms of reference, as well as perhaps their focus areas, what would you, as a member of the Johannesburg Crisis Alliance, advise them on?
I think the focus group, the focus areas are absolutely spot on. The 7 that the president has identified and as elaborated on in the statement from the presidency today, which includes governance and financial sustainability, service delivery improvement across the board, water and sanitation, electricity. The inner city rejuvenation is critical, cultural and heritage institutions and their revitalization. And lastly is the issue of safety and law enforcement within the city. So I think the areas are fine. What is not clear is who will make up these working groups, what their ambit will be, whether it's just monitoring, whether they have the right to review critical documents of the city, whether they have a right to suggest alternative options for the issues that the city faces. and whether those suggestions will in fact be acted on. So I think it's the decision-making role that these the working groups would have to deal with. Because if they are merely going to be discussion forums, then I think they would not serve any purpose.
The president says in his statement that he's concerned about the closure of public facilities like the Johannesburg Library, the Johannesburg Art Gallery, as well as the Metro Centre. We don't need an extensive working group to get those things open, running and functional. The library is an easy and quick fix. Why is it, according to what the working group, the Johannesburg Crisis Alliance, has been speaking with, or at least the dialogue it's had with the City Council, as well as the city as executive, why are these public facilities not opened yet?
Well, I can speak for the Johannesburg Library. The fact that it was closed for 4 years before anybody started making a noise about it was a matter of concern. Why it was closed is not absolutely clear. We understand that there were some water damage issues, but the availability of information, the transparency around the issue itself, and that would go to many of the other facilities. And what we would want to see in these working groups is, to answer your question, is to really assess the reasons for closure, the necessity for repairs, and the cost of those repairs, because that is of huge concern to us with the Johannesburg Library and other institutions, where we think costs have been escalated beyond way beyond what they should have been in the first place. So that's where working groups could possibly add value, is to ensure that the repair work, the costing, they don't become feeding troughs for tenderers and for people who don't actually do the work.
Yeah. Neeshan, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Neeshan Balton is a member of the Johannesburg Crisis Alliance and the director of the Ahmed Kathrada. In a statement released by the president a short while ago, the president says that in the inner city, the working group will launch a rejuvenation project focused on improved safety, infrastructure upgrades, as well as housing redevelopment. This will encourage investment, the president says in the statement, and create a vibrant and clean urban core that delivers for everyone. We'll bring you more details on this as and when the presidency releases more details about the working group, giving us a clear sense of those terms of references.